As the law stands today, an adoptive mother gets a maternity benefit of 12 weeks if the child is less than 3 months old. And I felt that the 6 weeks I was getting was grossly inadequate. I am Hamsaanandini and I'm running a campaign on change.org called Heart Moms Need Love. My ask is for the government to amend the current laws in the country to give equal maternity benefits for adoptive mothers. Our adoption journey started in 2016 when my husband and I came across an option to adopt siblings in the Kara procedure. And the moment we saw it, it had deep impact on us, and we both really knew that we wanted to do this. That day is still so fresh in my mind. It'll always be one of my favorite days of my life. It just didn't sink in that we were going to be parents instantly, overnight, that too to a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. We had so much to do. We were so nervous. We were so anxious. We were waiting to sort of see what's in store. And so we put in place arrangements quickly and off we went to meet our children. Some of the immediate challenges that we had to sort of work on when the children just came home, one of them was communication. My husband and I are South Indians, and our children spoke Hindi. I had some basic exposure to Hindi, but their dialect was completely different. And, the kind of words that a 5-year-old would use are not something that, I would have seen in my Hindi textbook. It was a big change for us. It was an even bigger change for the children because at least we were back home to a space that we knew. But for our children, none of the people or the things that they recognized or trusted were around them. Everything was completely new and strange. And each child, reacts differently to this. So even between my daughter and son, their journeys are so different. My daughter, initially she used to not talk too much. All her communications used to be limited to food and sleep and basics like that. With my son, it was very different. For the first couple of weeks or so, he just would not sleep at all. He would, expect that somebody should carry him and walk around. So my husband and I used to actually take turns to hold him and walk around the entire night. So it was quite challenging. At that time, I was working with a law firm and we were a fairly small unit. So my workplace didn't have a ready policy on adoption leave. So when I got my referral, I gave my handover at work and I proceeded on my break. It was within the first few days after the kids came home that I got to know that, we had now made a policy and I would be entitled to a leave of 6 weeks. And that's when I realized that the law did not give me any protection on this. I remember making a plea but I got home 2 children, which means that I'm probably not going to ask for this again. But it still didn't make a difference. It meant that I would have to accumulate all my leaves and go on loss of pay. For me, it wasn't a very difficult decision to make, but I'm very, very mindful that it's not so for so many women out there, and it shouldn't have to be that way. I don't see why a woman has to make this compromise just because they choose to build their family through adoption. The time that you spend as soon as the child comes home is very, very important for you to form a bond as a family and for you to develop some kind of attachment. We must be mindful that in most of the cases, when these children come home, these children have already gone through some kind of massive trauma. It may be losing a loved one, it may be losing their own parents, it may be abandonment. There are many cases where children have had to face violence of some kind, they've had injuries, they've had to fend for themselves, they've been alone. So these children already come with a requirement for healing, and it takes time for the child to feel reassured and for the child to develop a feeling that this is their home and this is their family. Today in India, there is such a huge need to normalize adoption as a concept. It comes with so much stigma and ignorance in our society, and for the state to say that we will not there will be no discrimination based on how somebody became a parent, I think is a huge step in sort of bringing about that kind of normalcy. Because if today there is a law that says that if you're an adoptive parent you will not get any benefit, I think actively actively propagates and encourages the kind of bias and stigma that already exists in society. Just because an adoptive mother may not have gone through the process of labor doesn't mean that the journey is very easy. It comes with its own set of very different challenges that needs time and that needs recognition and support as well.